Welcome to the vault. Attorney for Gabby Petito's parents allege Roberta Laundrie wrote note to son offering shovel. Here's the said commentary. Thank you for joining me.
Brian Laundrie's mother offered her son a shovel to help bury Petito's body. Pat Riley, the attorney for Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt, filed that claim in a motion that was filed earlier this month. It claims that Laundrie's mom wrote a note to Brian offering a shovel after the slaying in Wyoming. Riley now requests that the Laundries submit that evidence to the court. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie were on a cross-country road trip when she died. Laundrie returned to his parents' home in Florida alone. Her body was later found in a Wyoming national park. Laundrie left his parents' home, sparking a days-long search. His body was found in a state park near Sarasota with a note where he confessed to killing Petito. The new claim is part of a civil lawsuit.
How crazy is this information? A note to your son to help bring a shovel. Now, it's bad enough he killed this young lady, and you would aid your son to help bury the body of his girlfriend. If this allegation is true, she wrote this note. This is horrendous. But this goes to show their demeanor once he returned home. Brian returned in her vehicle, had used her money from a card to get home. That's not including the flight from out west to Florida to allegedly do something with a storage facility, then fly back out there. One would have to wonder his mindset with the flying to and fro. I never could understand that. I felt like that was to get rid of her things because he knew he wanted to get rid of her for whatever reason, and then go back out, kill her, travel down the highway in her van, give some lame excuse to his parents about where she is. But one would have to wonder if he went ahead and told them the truth before he got back to Florida, or when he got to Florida, that he killed the girl, and why. This is just horrible. To know they ignored her family, never corresponded, cut off ties, blocked them, and now you have information about a damn note. So what is all in that notebook that he left behind? And where did they get information of a note that she wrote her son? Because I know he could have been stupid enough to write it in the diary, knowing that somebody could find it. So where is this note? And how did it come to be that the Petito Schmidt family has knowledge of the said note? This is bad business. But you see, their son was sick, and obviously he got his demeanor and disposition from his parents. And that's what people need to understand about others and self, that you do carry around traits that belong to your parents and the people that raised you. And possibly if you are a narcissist, a sociopath, psychopath, you came from a sociopath, a psychopath. Antisocial personality raised you, so you take the traits and become the same thing that possibly you loathe. And maybe possibly you enjoy the characteristics that you have that are negative. And as I've learned in covering true crime, such as the Idaho 4 killings, a psychopath doesn't necessarily make a killer, and a killer doesn't necessarily have to be a psychopath or possibly a sociopath. But nonetheless, there's a crossover that at some point the deviant, the negative qualities lead one to become a killer, such as a liar. A liar doesn't necessarily become a killer. But at some point, the killer has all these negative traits, such as lying, being deceitful, manipulative. And one would wonder if perhaps Brian was all these things before murdering her, had she seen these signs, Gabby. But she stayed anyway with this said person who ended up killing her. This is very baffling information. But he's a product of his parents. And that's why it was so easy for them to ignore her family, never respond, never talk to the media, hired a lawyer early on, somebody who wasn't even practicing criminal law, All of that was interesting information. And yes, people judged them. And now here it is, a year or so later, their behavior is still asinine and ignorant and disrespectful to the dead and to the living. Now, the Petito Schmidt family have filed a civil lawsuit against the Laundries and their attorney. We will see how this fares out on both. But nonetheless, I believe they had some type of knowledge pertaining to the death of Miss Gabby Petito. And that's the baffling part, besides the death and murder itself, is that parents had knowledge of a death and never did anything about it. Ignored the dead person's family, which shows you had some knowledge of guilt. Because my thing is, why should you have to wear the shoes to understand how a family would feel about their loved one? So that leads me to wonder what the relationship was like when Gabby was alive and living with this family. Did she get along with them? How did she navigate in this house with them? What made her want to live this van life? Why did she continue to stay with this guy and date this guy? She had to have seen signs that they did not get along, that he was abusive, verbal, physical. We also learned that she also was physical with him. So why did they engage with each other? How did they and why did they continue to go on this journey? Because in the end, it cost her her life in dealing with him. And many people have made this fateful mistake in accepting people's flaws, wanting them to change, hoping they change, trying to change them, but it never works out in their favor. It only in the end works against them. The Laundries are pathetic people. They're sick. And that is why they had this sick son who killed this girl. And as I said, many people have tried their best not to become like their parents, carry their traits, emulate their traits. But in the end, we do, as people, carry those traits around, willingly and unwillingly. And I believe Brian Laundrie did. He's a product of his parents. He was, rather. And they showed that they were empty vessels once he returned to Florida without Gabby Petito. Their behavior showed they had knowledge that he harmed her because they cut off ties with the family, didn't speak to them, blocked them on social media sites, and hired an attorney. And to me, that shows guilt, guilty knowledge. And now here comes a note offering a shovel. This is the most despicable thing I have heard coming from a parent in a while. But it goes to show they would do anything for their son. And that means helping discard a body. And my thing is, if you'll help discard a body, you would also help kill the person as well. Thank you for your time. Like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BigAngie129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. You have been listening to The Vault.